This week on RSBANDB Update, elite dungeons are made slightly less elite for lore hunters. You can find out when you joined your clan, and legacy balloon follower pets can now be had from the party room. Also thoughts on RunePass, GameJam, and Nic the Trader returns. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 694, recorded Thursday, October 18th, 2018. Retro and old school gaming. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us once again for another episode of RSBANDB Update. Tanis and myself are back this week, back together again. It's been a while, hasn't it?
You know, it really has. It feels
3 weeks.
I think, longer.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been 3 weeks. You did the one with Earth when I was gone, and then I did last week with Sirion because, well, last Thursday was definitely something after getting back at 11 p.m. on Wednesday night, and
you got to adjust. You know, them time zones they stop for no one, right?
Yesterday was the first day where it didn't feel like I needed to go to bed at 5 p.m.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow, that's some serious jet lag there.
Yeah, because 5 p.m. here is 12 a.m. UK.
Oh wow! Okay,
so,
yeah.
It definitely was an interesting thing, and I mean, we talked a lot about RuneFest. There's still stuff about RuneFest being written on Informer, which I'll talk about later. But in any case, this week, good to be back with you. You've been enjoying my absence?
No, Shane. It's never the same without you here. Although I think me and Earth held it down well enough, and it was okay. I mean, we did the best we can. Like Jagex isn't necessarily helping us a whole lot lately, but we make it happen. And hey, who else had a contingent of people at RuneFest like we did? So it was, even though he was gone, it was for a good cause, and the information you were able to bring back and share with everybody was invaluable.
There's nothing that compares to and I've talked about this before, I think, but I'll just say it again. There's nothing that compares to just being able to go up and meet Andrew Gower, Ian Gower, Paul Gower, and whatnot, and convey thanks, and chatting with Maud Raven for 25 plus minutes about Elemental Workshop 5 and the player-owned farm and everything that he's done and his characters. That was just great. And then there's also the chats with Maud Jack about the mining and smithing rework, which we talked about last week in our playthrough with that. So yeah, there's lots of fun stuff RuneFest related that we learned there. So if you want a recap of that, best to listen to episodes 693 and 692. 693, yeah, that was an interesting episode for us because we had that and one more thing segment, and Tanis, you and I talked about this on the weekend after the fact, and It was a situation the both of us had never been in before, Sirion and myself. But it was a thing, and I'll just leave it at that and let everyone else listen to 693 because I think what we learned by watching that is that things are okay with that. Things are good, but at the end of the day, this is where we are, and there are reasons why we're here, and we'll just leave it at that, I think. So,
after listening to that segment and talking to you both, I mean, I felt like I was on one of those episodes of Star Trek where there was an alternate timeline. You know what I mean? Like we're in this weird, just this really weird place. I don't even know how to describe it. But
yeah,
that's where we're at. Like you said, I mean, here we are.
Yeah, and I mean, just as a bit of a recap for that, and I'll attempt to keep this quick. We both stumbled into the old school talk because we were coming through the main hall after coming down from the QA stage, because what we wanted to do is see if the QA testing was still going on, but it wasn't. and we walked into the old school talk when they were talking about warding and Song of the Elves. And, both of these are updates that RS3 could use, and they're both really good from game design, and they're both really simple. And we both had the idea, if it means keeping graphics simple and whatnot, and they can just pop these updates into game, that is an interesting aspect of game design that maybe is getting a little bit lost with RS3 and the high production quality values of it over time. And, we were both interested in those updates because warding is effectively a simplified version of Invention. And when Invention came out, we know how confusing it was, right?
Right. Well, and, no matter what you do, you have to know what you do well and then do it. So if RS3 wants to be this very high level production, modern looking graphical, high end thing, that's fine. But you have to know how to do it and do it well, and understand that comes at the price of something else.
Yeah.
What I think old school is good at is they know what they are, they know what their community wants, and they give them that. And it's right now, there are the games that are the big blockbusters and they look amazing, but at the same time you also got to remember there's a whole class of gamers that remember a different era when graphics weren't like this, and so they're not really bothered by the simple thing. Look at how well Stardew Valley did. Yep. You know what I mean? Like in games like that, they were good at what they did, and people said, hey, they looked deeper than the graphics. You know what I mean? They looked more into the actual game. Yeah,
and the biggest turning off factor for us is the time of starting off fresh again from level 1 everything. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's obviously still a rampant bot problem to the point where they were able to do an entire talk at RuneFest on bot busting.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate. And for me, it's the accessibility, because I can't go back to the dark days of when I first started playing, and it was just really, really difficult. I don't even know how I did it sometimes now looking back, because I've tried old school. Don't get me wrong, I've tried it, and the nostalgia is there. Like you get into it for a minute, but because of the accessibility, that's the reason that I can't go back to it. And, getting told to 5 times within 5 minutes of logging in, that kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah, I know of people who just have their chat turned to friends only because of that.
That might be the best way to go with that. But those are the two things that kind of keep me away from it myself.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to of course RS3 for this week, because it's a patch week, and I think one of the things that everybody has you think people are thinking that this week is an update week, because they basically retooled the entire news post here.
Well, you can put lipstick on a pig, but she's still a pig, right? Yeah.
So,
isn't that what the politicians say?
That's right. That's right. That, I believe that was a Sarah Palin quote.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. But, basically what this, the news post starts off with, obviously it would be highly unprofessional to admit that we're all completely shattered after RuneFest, but we're all completely shattered after RuneFest. And, I guess that's true, that they didn't have the time to QA an entire week of tests and whatnot, so that's why they say they're a bit delayed on this. But in any case, this week we have the next phase of the Till Death Do Us Part Halloween event, where War makes his appearance in that. And basically what this is you take the Halloween event as it existed last week, and you add on some demons that you're able to kill with a javelin and get some Slayer XP throughout the route. I don't know. I think War looks pretty good here. Not really much else mechanic-wise to write home about this week, I don't think, on this.
No, I actually think it looks really cool. And, how about that scythe?
Yeah. That would be nice to be able to have that as an override, but I don't think they'll ever let us have another Halloween scythe.
Only if they let us hold it the way he does.
And of course, for anyone's wondering, just head on over to the community event interface to see that. You got to wonder sometimes when that happens in art if that's intentional or not. And I think you could probably gloss over this and just say it was by accident. So.
Maybe, but Jagex does have, they like to throw in their cheeky little nods sometimes.
Okay. I was going for the by accident approach on this, but
maybe. But
did you know that there's also something from this week's event called the Adrenaline Urn?
No.
Okay. So this is an interesting little item. You have to get to the medium stage of it. You open up a medium corrupted energy that you get after stabilizing a set number of times. And what this does is it lets you store up to 1,000 adrenaline gained from combat. And basically it prevents your adrenaline from going down while you're in combat. So what you can do in theory with this is that you can think of this as an extension of your adrenaline bar to the point of rather than, just storing 100% adrenaline, you can store 1,100 adrenaline. And it'll just allow you to sit in combat and let yourself fall out of combat, and you won't lose adrenaline with that. So the idea behind this is that if you're, waiting to go in for a boss instance or whatever, or you're waiting for a cooldown period, you don't have to suffer that adrenaline loss. Now, this isn't the same as building adrenaline and using this to pop out adrenaline if you're fresh starting a fight. It doesn't work like that. You still need to use up all your adrenaline, or rather build your adrenaline when you go into a fight. So the example use case of this is as follows. So let's just say you're doing a Slayer task or something, right? And you work up to that berserk and you need to go take a phone call. So you go pull out into the next room, assuming you don't want to AFK. And you can basically, with this adrenaline urn, you can leave combat and have your adrenaline stay at 100%. And you'll have the time of your adrenaline urn, and it'll just tick down. It'll keep using that adrenaline to keep your adrenaline topped off at 100%. So that's what this can be used for.
So it's like a dummy without a dummy.
Yeah, pretty much. Except you can't use it to build adrenaline.
Okay.
And the idea behind this is that, you can start on your pocket slot and whatnot. And, I think it's just a good way of making it so that if you need to take a break within combat or change styles, you can do that and not have to worry about that. Like if you need to leave combat. Though I don't know what combat instance we have in game that's slow enough that you need to change combat.
Okay.
So, also, if you activate it after you exit combat and you would normally lose adrenaline, charges from the urn are depleted instead of your own adrenaline. So that's basically how it keeps your adrenaline up. Now, what makes this more interesting is that you don't need to recharge it every time. So you could just go, do a task of Abyssal Demons and not use any threshold or ultimate abilities, and you could charge this up all the way to 1,000%, and then just bank it.
Okay, yeah. And then use it when you go.
And then use it whenever you go do a boss or whatever you need to do. So,
okay.
And this was not really mentioned here with this update, but at the same time, it's definitely something that I think is going to be perhaps one of the most usable things out of this event. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
There's also, I forget what the exact name of the item is, but there's also an item that will automatically resurrect you if you die. I don't know if it goes on the same cooldown as a sign, but I assume it would, because otherwise that might be a little bit too overpowered. I'm failing to remember the name of that other item right now.
I could see that.
Yeah. Let me actually just have a quick look at that, because I think everyone's been doing this event and everyone has been focused on just completing it and reaching the necessary community unlock tiers with it, right? But there's these extra little things that come out throughout the event, and I think that these are perhaps the hidden gems of this update, so to speak. How many times have you stabilized so far?
Maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
I've been really bad
Yeah.
at consistency this year.
They say eventually we will have the ability to get all of the items from it, but they say there's a certain number of how many you're going to be able to have to complete before you can gain access to all of them. But I don't think it'll be that many. So I think if you probably just go to the first tick or whatnot over the entire time period, you'll be fine. So.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
All right. So let's see. Just having a look at this. And for anybody watching this on YouTube right now, you'll see what Tanis was talking about in terms of the specific mace placement with war. Did you notice that, or was that when it was pointed out to you?
It was when it was pointed out to me.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, all right. Let's see. What's that name? It is called that item that we're looking for is called the Soul Phylactery. Did that come from this event, or was this a previous year's Halloween one? I don't know.
No, I think that's from this year, right? I don't remember that from any other time.
Oh gosh, that goes all the way back to 2012 on
Wait, what was 2012?
removed January 2013.
Really?
Really indeed.
Huh. Well, stand corrected. Crazy. Didn't know that. I never heard of it before.
Yeah.
So they're bringing back holiday items?
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Released October 1st, 2012.
Okay.
News to us.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't doing the Halloween event in 2012 or something.
I don't think it was the Halloween event in 2012.
Oh, okay.
But,
Well.
Anyways, this basically the idea behind this is this item will resurrect you should you die instantly. So I thought this was a new item too. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this week's part of the Halloween event. I think we can move on to the patch notes now for this week. And these were also presented in a different way than normal, too. These were presented in the news post.
Yeah, that was... Come on, guys. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Like, it's a patch week. That's okay. That's fine. But don't put it in there like it's the update.
I'm actually wondering how many people are gonna have a different opinion based on this, because we often talk about subtle cues in the community and whatnot, and I think this is definitely one of them. And the question I have is: Are people? Is the mass majority of RS players seeing through this, or is this something they see as new?
No, I would imagine they're seeing through this. It probably made it a lot worse than if they had just done what they always do and said it's a patch week. Because, look, the RS community is nothing if not cynical, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it was a helpful move.
I honestly think that the psychological aspect of this, when they see this new news post format, I think if people are not involved in any of the forks of the community, I think it'll be a good thing.
I like the format. I like the way they're doing it, but it doesn't change the perception at all to me. Like, it's still a patch week. So, I don't know. If anything, it was easier to find everything, I thought. It was easier just to go through it. But if they were trying to do some kind of sneaky, psychological approach, I don't know if I don't know if it hit that mark.
And if they were, they could have added on to it by performing any number of factors, which I won't go into now. But let's actually talk about the patch notes.
Okay.
You'll be now prompted when attacking soulless armored zombies summoned by the soulless necromancer until death do us part. And they'll say that also that Death's Soul Rift is now better suited to dealing with them. So I don't specifically get what the issue with this was, because I don't know. I didn't have any issue with attacking them to begin with. Did you?
No.
So, all right. Next up, Slayer XP is now gained from all of the soulless unarmored zombies around the Rift and Drainer. That's good. I think everyone appreciates the Slayer XP there.
Yeah, I would think so.
Variety Mush can now be added to the player-owned farm troughs through Make X. I don't know what Variety Mush would be.
I can't figure that out either. I was reading that patch note. I'm like, what is Variety Mush? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing that can eat, like, variety is the Chimampas anyway. Like, they're the only ones that can... So, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, let me just have a look at this, because I think you're right on that, because I have not seen Variety Mush, and I haven't done Chinchompas before. So, yeah, okay, Variety Mush is a type of animal feed that can be obtained after filling them with food while having at least one Chinchompa in the pen.
Oh, okay. Well,
so,
it
is Chinchompa based. Next up, removing rooms in the POH now correctly updates the room count in the house settings interface.
That's fine. I'm still waiting for, the update where we get our materials back if we have to take a room down.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And I mean, I can't remember the last time I remodeled my house. You?
It's been a while. The last time I remodeled was an accident, actually, when that was for the aquarium. Yeah, that cost me a lot of money that day.
Ooh.
A lot of money.
You can no longer place hunting traps inside your animal pens at the player-owned farm, you cruel, cruel monsters, they say.
That's hilarious.
I know. You can also no longer plant mithril seeds in your animal pens.
Okay.
And you can no longer drop objects in your animal pens.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta love these little edge cases that are coming through a month and a half later.
Yeah, right?
All right. Now here's one that we can all write home about. Reduce the damage taken in Elite Dungeon story modes further, down to 10% of normal mode.
Oh,
Previously, it was 33%.
Maybe I can do it now, or maybe someone can drag me through it now.
Well, I've heard it's been done without food at this point.
Right, but yeah, that's so good. I hope, because I really want to do the second one. Like, I really want to do the second dungeon, and I haven't been able to. So,
well, let's go this weekend then.
Awesome. Okay.
They're also going to be removing the previous requirements when Elite Dungeon 3 comes out next year. So you won't need to do number 1 to do number 2, and you won't need to do number 3 or number 2 to do number 3 when number 3 arrives.
I almost always do number 1 if I'm doing number 2.
Yeah, but I mean, oh.
Shame.
I mean for Elite Dungeons.
Okay, I got you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Just when I thought I was free of the puns.
No, never be free of the puns. It's a RuneScape podcast. You can't be free of the puns.
All right, well, here's one. Prevented the sanity checks from the Halloween event, catching players out when they're re-entering the climax of Nomad's Elegy.
Okay.
Basically, what happened with this is that since Nomad was involved in this event and Death was involved, they were using the same part of the same entities. So as a result of that, you weren't able to re-enter Nomad's Elegy because the Halloween event was in place.
Oh, dude, are they still entering Nomad's Elegy? Like,
Yeah.
Are they still doing that?
Yeah, it's a good quest.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know it's a good quest. It's just, I mean, once you've done it, I wouldn't really go back.
Yeah, well, I mean, people still need to play it, and, another tidbit we got from the lore talk, only 11% of people in game have completed Slisuke's endgame.
Well, that's because of the maze, probably. I don't blame him. I don't hold that against anybody.
And, as we all know, Elegy is a requirement for endgame, so...
Yeah. Okay.
Next up, when using the radial targeting in conjunction with ability queuing, abilities wouldn't activate when combat is initiated, putting the ability on cooldown without firing, and this has now been fixed. Of course, radial targeting is the new targeting method that was added for mobile, and players can now access it by pressing tab, I believe? So, basically, this new targeting mode was preventing abilities from firing off properly, and that's been fixed. I don't know. I still click on my targets. You?
Yeah, I don't trust that yet. Maybe someday, but not. I don't know.
No.
So it automatically targets for you?
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, to make it easier when you're on mobile and whatnot.
Is there anything left that you have to do in Slayer now? Like, is it you just roll up and turn on some Netflix, huh?
I was going to say eat, but...
Okay, well, yeah, I can do that too.
But there's something called Soul Split and a Demon Horn necklace.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly.
Yeah. Added a ton of new foods, 88 in particular, to the player-owned farm food trough options.
Well, there can't be too many left.
No, and that's good. I mean, it's good, just good to be able to dump a bunch of that stuff in there. I have relented, and I know you were able to do this before this week's update, but I started using my arc berries for food.
Yeah, man. What else are you gonna do with them, right?
Well, I was hoping there might be a Herblore update somewhere down the line.
Well, you know what they say, Shane. You can hope in one hand. You know what you do in the other.
Yeah. Well, I think it's safe to say we should have no issue feeding our animals now. No, I've been doing it for a while. It works great. Hovering over a clan member in clan settings will now display the date they joined your clan. Note that this only goes back to the release of the clan chat channel update on April 12th, 2011.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So for anyone who joined after that works, but I don't know. I joined in 2015, so I'm fine. But I mean, I guess this is a good way to help with record keeping, eh?
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. I'm a fan of that update.
Yeah. Hazelmere's Signet Ring will now give a chance to receive double rare loot from Solak for anyone who wants to go fighting Solak. So that's good. The Spring Cleaner now has an add all option that adds all of the springs for the chosen operation, either charge or upgrade, and similar options have been added to the add springs and quick upgrade buttons on the Spring Cleaner interface. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
And players can also mute the Spring Cleaner's sentient speech. Oh my god, finally.
Oh, the little thing on the chat box?
Yeah, you know how it speaks to you? I never liked that.
I never really noticed it, I guess.
Okay, well, you don't really pay attention to chat because you need to change your focus to
naturally.
So,
yeah, there is that.
So, that's that. Now, here's one, and, this might give people a reason to go and do drop parties in the Falador party room again. Added the 4 balloon animals from the old Prison Pete random event as follower pets, and these can now be unlocked at the Falador party room. That goes way back.
Yeah.
Getting out of prison and popping the correct balloons. Wow.
Yeah. They really are bringing back some older stuff, huh?
Yeah. Amazing. And follower pets. I mean, like we talk about pets and whatnot, but at least these ones are
Yeah.
cosmetic only, right? And you can access them through the pen interface. But these are, once again, I think, tapping into that nostalgic trip that people probably have.
Yeah.
So. All right. Now, moving on from this, mousing over all items in the Grand Exchange search will now display their tooltips, showing information such as combat stat bonuses for weapons or healing amounts for consumables. That's good, I think. It in effect doubles the Grand Exchange's functionality from a pure market aspect to something that can be used to just kind of use a bit of a search for items, right? So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And, we already have the examine info and whatnot there, so that's good. Friends, world, and global broadcast message colors can now be customized in the chat customization settings found within gameplay and then social. We just had the settings revamp, and I think we're heading to a point where we're going to need a colors setting pane.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole... I don't know. I like knowing what the colors mean and then don't touch it. Well,
I mean there's going to be saying defaults, but I mean, I guess you could view this as an accessibility option for yourself.
Yeah. I can at least set them to the colors I could see, and that would be good.
So, I mean, it's good, but I think, just going forward, we might need to look into a colors option. Yeah. A mushroom patch teleport option has been added to the Tyrannon Quiver, and players must have completed the hard tier of the Tyrannon task to use this option. And, I think at this point in the game, we need to underscore how important mushroom farming is. So, hard elf tasks, another reason to do them if you already haven't.
Man, dude, that quiver is the absolute best task set reward in the game.
Yeah, much like everything with Griff, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah. But it's so good, like, dude, the cleansing crystal thing where you don't have to click on that. It's just, it's beautiful.
Why would I want to use cleansing crystals when I already have 99 prayer?
Well, you don't have 120. All right. You want to be a baller? Shot caller?
Okay. Vials of water and coconut milk now have a make option, calling a make X interface for unfinished potions. Previously, you needed to make them by hand, so that was good. And there are odd people out there like myself who know about that. So there we go. Converted Sparkles, Mackers, and the Corgi from object to interface pets. Sparkles is a Christmas snake. I'm not sure what Mackers is, and Corgi celebrated the Queen's Jubilee in 2012. So,
I wish I had the Corgi. I did not get that.
Yeah, I like the Corgi. That's a good one. It's a good one. And finally, the interface for retuning the portals in the Max Guild's Garden have been updated graphically.
Woo! You been using your portal, Shane?
No.
Well, you must not have done any bossing then, huh?
Nope.
Okay. Me neither. But,
yeah. I don't know. I'm still having trouble uptaking the Max Guild, to be honest.
But it's so beautiful. Like... Once you get into it, you don't ever have to leave. It's just a right click telly, everything you could ever want, right there.
Yeah,
it's like the mall.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to other things this week, we did have the RuneFest content showcase live stream. Not much out of this game that we didn't already know, I think. So unless there's anything that you want to talk about from this, I'm content to move on because I think we covered most of this in RS reveals. Needle skips, Violet is Blue, the 2 quests for this year. Elite Dungeon 3s we talked about, Alchemical Onyx items we talked about, them using Fortunate components. It's going to have a bit of a dent on the economy, but probably not too much. Yeah, I don't think I have anything to talk about regarding this.
No, it was, just a recap, essentially. If you hadn't heard the podcast and didn't watch well, shame on you if you hadn't heard the podcast, but, barring that, there's no real new information.
Yeah. All right. Well, the link is in the show notes at update.rsbnb.com if anyone wants to find it. Now, next up is Nic the Trader, Vic's brother, appearing in Port Sarim this week.
Okay. That's always a welcome addition if you have built up your
bonus XP and you want to transfer it somewhere.
You can wheel and deal and trade, and I guess that's just part of the game, right? That's just part of the game now.
Yeah, it is. And you can get occult Garajin pieces, ethereal death pieces, pieces of the classic farmer outfit, not the elite farmer's outfit, combat dummy crates, large stars, large lamps. You can also get some items from Treasure Hunter if you wanted to spend your credits on that. For 50 credits, you can open up a common gem, 150 an uncommon, 500 for a rare gem, and 2.5k credits for a very rare gem. So,
okay. Is there? Do they have the normal stuff too, like the like the down maybe?
Nope.
Silver Rock?
Nope.
Oh.
The only other two things available are aura refreshes and life refreshes.
Oh, so no pulse scores either.
Yeah, no pulse scores. So the only thing you can really do with this is get a couple of Garajin pieces or ethereal pieces, maybe combat dummies, or reorder your stars and lamps around. So, and maybe open some Treasure Hunter stuff. And, in some ways I see this as a bit of a field test because, we always get Vic coming in for 2 weeks and he's got that huge collection of stuff, right? And, some of it is very overpowered, like the Silver Hawk and whatnot. So there are metrics in place and in-game, at least I would imagine so, and I think it would make sense for them to have that, measuring, how much XP is put into something like Nic or Vic, right? And then determining, okay, is the engagement high enough that we can run Nic promotions more often than we run the Vic promotions because, Vic has everything under the sun. But I don't know about you, but the thing I end up doing most of the times with Vic is just allocating XP and moving it around.
Yeah, that's usually all that I do too. Is, I got burned on a couple of the outfit pieces early on, and I learned really quickly not to do that anymore. And I know this is like blasphemy, but sometimes I will just get the dunge tokens because I don't want to.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
I really need that gold accumulator. It's taken like over a year to get my tokens from Vic and Heffen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And there wasn't really much fanfare about Nic appearing because it was a news post and it was like, oh, what's he gonna do? He's the brother of Vic. So obviously there's going to be some kind of linkage between them, right?
Yeah. He's been there before, right? I thought he usually comes with Vic, but
I thought this was the first time for Nic.
Is this the first time for Nic? Huh. Okay. Well.
Oh, apparently he appeared for 2 days back in August.
Okay. I thought I had heard of him.
But beyond
before.
that, that's it. So.
Okay.
I definitely swapped all my XP in that I wasn't using. I think I'm just going to reallocate to Herblore. I think that's going to be the best way to go.
Well, that's definitely the most economical thing you could do.
Yep. We know how much that costs, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me just have a look here. So a large prismatic star at Nic costs you 25 credits. But let's see if I can pull Vic's store up. And, there's a fun little fact, too, I've been discovering since returning with this. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I'm Googling something and it comes up to the old RuneScape wiki, I still just go to the old RuneScape wiki because that's where Google sends me. I know the RS Wiki folks probably don't like it, but
it's going to be hard to get people to change.
Yeah. So a prismatic large star at Vic costs 51 credits, but it costs 25 credits at Nic. Now the question is, what rate did I get for turning these in? Oh, they're all different for each skill. Okay, that's going to be hard to calculate. I'm just going to bet it's the same at this point.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I didn't keep track of my rates. So. Okay. So, normally when we do this show, we like to cite official sources and whatnot. And in doing so, I tried to find an external source for this, or rather an internal source on this, but I couldn't find it on the forum. So we're left with a Reddit post here. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
An update on RunePass. This came out last Friday as we were getting to record.
What?
Yeah. And, as much as when Sirion and I were doing the show, we were just doing it, and we had wanted to talk about this last week, but apparently I skipped over it unintentionally. I told him that next time that happens, he needs to slap me across the side of the head, but he won't do that. So we're going to talk about it this week. But this is an update on the RunePass situation posted to Reddit. And so, despite what a lot of people believe, and I'm quoting here from the post, RunePass performed better than we had anticipated. Commercially, it was successful, although we are aware that it was unpopular with some players. All of the feedback gathered about RunePass, both negative and positive, is being very seriously scrutinized. Players have told us they were happy for an increased emphasis on cosmetic microtransactions. RunePass was designed to explore that idea. However, we failed properly to explain this. As a result, RunePass simply looked like an additional layer of microtransactions. Nonetheless, we still learned a lot from RunePass. We recognized that the free track was underdeveloped. I think that was our main form of criticism with this, right, on the show. Mm-hmm. They could have put other more interesting things in the free track. They say it was a small-scale, fast-moving test. This is beneficial in some respects, but also meant that some aspects of the experiment were less successful than they might have been. And elements of RunePass were popular with the players and will be retained in potential future iterations. And now, before we try doing RunePass again, we need to put a little more time and thought into it. For the time being, at least, those energies are better invested elsewhere, and our focus is better placed on ensuring the great delivery of great game updates for 2019. For that reason, any possible second RunePass has been put on hold for the time being.
That's almost exactly what I figured it would come out. I even think I might have wrote about that, actually.
I think you did, and I think we said that's the way it's going to go.
Yep.
We just based on what we were seeing and based on what the JMods were murmuring at the time, we knew it was successful commercially, and we touched on this, that it wasn't explained properly, and here, it's good Jagex was recommending or recognizing that. And, when you think about it, I think we said on that podcast that, had we presented RunePass, I think we could have presented it as a better deal.
Yeah.
And I think they realize here that it was largely a PR problem and not an execution problem. And when they combine the PR with a few changes internally, they can probably take this and have it be a runaway success. But the thing that they need to do from the business side of this in order to make it successful is to not bring it out while it's fresh in the minds. That's number one.
Yes. And also, now can they recognize that? So they know it was commercially a success, but there was some blowback. Yeah, from the peanut gallery. So why don't we not listen to the peanut gallery and the knee-jerk reaction like they sometimes do? Because obviously it was successful.
Yeah.
Like I figured it would be, because it was actually doing what was working in the broader spectrum of the industry. It actually made sense to do that.
I agree. And, another thing that they need to do if they want this to be successful going forward is they need this post to disappear. This post we're looking at right now needs to disappear for first and foremost. A sufficient amount of time needs to pass. I'm thinking no earlier than May or June of next year before they try this again. And it cannot be called RunePass.
Yeah, let people forget and so that. Yeah, I was never really up on the name anyway.
It's a very clear copy of Fortnite Battle Pass.
Yeah, yeah. I think we could do our own thing and make it a lot better. RuneScapier.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad that they have come to that decision. And once again, I'm glad that we were it's the general gist of it right on the area that we're heading on that. So,
yeah, I'm not surprised. When you have as much experience as we do, you do happen to call things from time to time. It's kind of what we do.
Yeah. Just like we called the RS Mobile at RuneFest.
Yeah. Yeah, sure did.
Anyways, one final RS news before we talk about Patreon, and that's that GameJam is happening this entire weekend. They streamed a bit of the design side of it today on Thursday. They're going to be active on the Discord throughout the entirety of the weekend, and there's a certain number of channels for each of them. There's a Game Jam general channel, there's a suggestions channel, player-owned farm, farm hands. I'm not exactly sure what this one will be, but it's obviously something to do with the farm. Mod Raven's working on it. Mod Breezy is working on one. Mod Timbo is doing something with seeds, and he's got the design doc already posted, increasing the value of seeds, so that one could be interesting. Mod Shawnee is working on a couple of things related to the grouping system. Some things about addressing the dailyscape problems, and there's also one for weapon diversity, achievements, and basically everything Game Jam related this year is happening on Discord, aside from the initial stream that happened today. So I think it's safe to be saying that next week we'll be talking a lot about Game Jam, because there are some dedicated slots for Game Jam updates in January and February of next year. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And basically, based on these titles here that I see so far, I'm thinking I'm going to be interested in the farming one for the farm, the seeds project, and weapon diversity. Because how long have we been talking about weapon diversity?
Oh man, forever.
Yeah. So we'll talk about these after they're fully fleshed out, because a lot can happen in 3 days when you're rapidly working on a project like this. So.
Yeah, that's for sure, and I just hope that it's as productive as the last one was, because we actually got some really good updates out of Game Jam. Which surprised me.
Yeah, the Alchemical Onyx for one. Granted, that's not out yet. We're going to be seeing it in the next couple months. The Needle Skips, also a Game Jam update. Very good. So, yeah. All right. So before we move on to questions, we'll just give thanks to our wonderful Patreon supporters this week. That is Cody T, Kyle, and Brock H. If you want to find more about our Patreon, you can visit us at patreon.com/RSBANDB. Thank you to our wonderful supporters for supporting us thus far and everything that we do here at RSBANDB Update. You make RSBANDB Update possible. So in case you're wondering about this, for $1 a month, you get a special mention in our show notes and help fund RSBANDB Update. For $3 a month, you get a special rank on Discord, a mention on the podcast at the start of the month, and access to high-quality stereo AAC versions of the podcast. And for $5 a month, you'll receive a shout-out on the podcast every week and access to the clip show materials that we use for producing the clip show at the end of the year. And what we're doing with this currently, $15 tier, we're doing the monthly bonus show, otherwise known as the monthly bit. This is focused around hot button issues to the RuneScape community, and these are released to Patreon supporters exclusively. This month, October, we're going to be releasing our first monthly bit to the public. And this month, we're going to be talking about the mining and smithing beta and building a better beta framework. And that we're going to release that one publicly first because we feel that this is something that needs to get out there for the community. Because we've seen so many betas in RS that have been done and haven't been done in a good way. And we want to just in general inform the community how to be a good beta tester on this. So you can look forward to that later this month, building a better beta framework. And our other 2 tiers are the video show at $30 a month, which we're very close to. We'll use the webcams and record video versions of RSBANDBupdate. And at $60 a month, should we get there, I'll live stream once a week of a RuneScape play session showcasing the update of the week. So thank you once again to our wonderful Patreon supporters.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, so we're going to move on to questions right now. So our first is an audio question from the RR Man.
Hey, it's the RR Man here. Sorry, a little bit of a late question. I'm in the car at the moment. Just wanted to know if you've ever considered cancelling or terminating, I suppose, the skill of the month. We've, in light of the current situation, which I'm sure you might talk about, don't need to, mention any names or anything, I don't know. Anyway, just wondering if, with Treasure Hunter and pretty much no one can really know how much XP you actually got, because everyone's got even just the free keys, which is totally random. Have you ever considered just getting rid of it? Don't think it'd be too much of a loss to the show, but yeah. Also, I had that idea of possibly the achievement of the month, or rune score of the month. Wonder if you could bring that in, or hey, maybe just do it once or twice, just to break up the skill of the month. Peace out.
All right. So I think this is a topic that actually does warrant some discussion at this point in time, and I'm honestly surprised this hasn't come up sooner with this because I just like,
how long has Treasure Hunter been around?
I just like to remind everyone. I just like to remind everyone that this is RuneScape 3, and I personally do not like the idea of keys and bonus XP even being used in skill of the months, because there's no telling. I might have all my bonus XP in Herb, or I might have a surplus of cash that I have and I could purchase keys to purchase lamps, or I might spend a few hours at Telos and train my skills that way. There's honestly just no way of knowing where the XP comes from, and unless Jagex were to put out some form of an XP high score that was just purely natural in-game based gains, there'd be no way of knowing where the XP came from. And I think that's a fact that we all have to agree with RS3. And the only way that skill of the month as it is will change right now is that the only 2 options are, one, to do Iron Man skill of the month competitions, because there are Iron Man high score XP tables. That's option number 1.
Go Iron Ass.
That's something that could happen as well. The other option is to do it in old school. Those are the only 2 options to prevent that from happening. And I think it's safe to say that the majority of the community who listens to this podcast and wants to do something with skill of the month are RuneScape 3 base players, and there's no point in asking them to make an Iron Man just for a skill of the month competition to get a competition going when everyone is so invested in their characters and accounts, and we've seen that all before. So,
and and you know how it works. You have to get to the higher level to get the best XP rates. So you're going to have to get a 99 in whatever skill you're wanting to compete in just to be able to have the training methods available to you that you're going to want to do. And then now, and as an Iron Man, that also adds a whole nother layer of stuff, because now you're going to have all your own supplies and stuff. So you're not only are you going to have to be a master in whatever skill you want to compete in, but you're also going to be a master in having to gather those supplies and the skills that are relevant to that. So look, this is something that everybody that does a competition has had to deal with since Jagex first brought in the Squeal of Fortune, right? Which was what, 2010, 2012?
I think 12. I don't know.
Okay, 2012.
A long time ago.
Right. 6 years ago, right? How many skill a month? Every month, right?
Every month. So 12 a year.
12 a year for 6 years. This is the first time we're hearing about this? You know why? Because most people understand that. This is not new. If you're in a clan that does an XP competition, you know that this is a factor.
I was actually going to ask.
You have to be aware of that.
How did this shape out in your huge clan XP competitions you guys had back in August?
Yeah. Okay. For example, the two top people agreed amongst themselves in Discord. I was a witness and listened to them, and agreed not to use Treasure Hunter or any bonus XP. One, because the one guy is extremely lucky and really, really good at clue scrolls, and he has bills and bills that he could buy bonds with. The other guy is older, very established, and has a credit card, and if he wants to, he could outspend anybody he wanted. You know what I'm saying? So they knew that they were equally matched, and there was no sense in doing that they were just basically going to hurt themselves, and both of them would have done that, right? So that was kind of a gentlemanly agreement. But in every competition that I have ever competed in, whether it was in a clan or on Reddit for double XP or in Skill of the Month, you know that this is a possibility. You have to be prepared for it. And here's the thing. You can overcome it. You can. And if you're going to get rid of that, then you have to how do you get rid of everything else, right? So say Jagex comes out with some kind of a tracking mechanism. Okay. How are you going to track Silverhawk feathers, right? No one was using Silverhawk feathers? Bullshit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know, this was this was actually a topic that came up in the Friends chat this week as well in RSBANDB BitsBytes for those of you guys who want to join it. And, you know, Pernasius made the point. He could have just trickled it in throughout the month rather than putting it all in at one day, and you wouldn't have noticed.
Look, it doesn't matter anyway. That you play within the rules that you have, right? So we might not like that bonus XP is a thing, but guess what it is? So you either have to this is like Survivor, outthink, outwit, outlast. And if you can't do that, then you lose. And I'll tell you what, if you do lose, at least you lost to a hell of a beast, because I've lost to that beast a couple times. And it ain't pleasant, but at least I know I lost to a better man. It is what it is. Like you didn't go up against some like nobody.
Bot.
You went up
against
the best in the community.
Right.
How many competitions do you have under his belt? I mean, come on.
Right. And
you know what I'm saying?
And, you know, to flip this around, we could run an old school competition. Someone could run a bot in the competition, and you know, that would be even more dishonorable in perspective than this, because I think botting is clearly against the RuneScape rules, and you know, that has been something that's always been frowned upon. So there's that side of it too.
Yeah, this is like me going up to Floyd Mayweather Jr. and saying, "Hey, I'll beat your ass." And then when he punches me in the face and knocks me the hell out, I'll go, hey, he's got all the money in the world to buy the best trainers. He's a professional. That ain't fair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up. But, you know, in regards to the achievement skill of the month too, that's something that's entirely possible. I'm not entirely sure that the system as it is right now is capable of handling this. What I might do is I might run a separate achievement one next month just to see how that goes. But I still, again, need to look at the systems and make sure that the rune score positions that we can track are going to disappear. Because, a funny story on this, we're good citizens of the RuneScape API that Jagex provides us, and we use the index light, as everyone should who grabs XP. And because of that, when they brought out the rune score high scores, they just inserted it into the middle of the feed, and as a result of that, mucked up some other things. So I need to have a look and make sure that rune score is actually being tracked properly, and we're able to track that without that. But I think we have tools in place that would allow us to run something like that somewhere if there's an interest. So
that would be
still
cool.
Yeah, it would be, because
that would be cool. A rune score thing like that. The
only issue is if you have 20,000 rune score and you only have a few achievements left.
Right. And and you're going to run into the same you run into the same problem when you're close to 200 mil.
Yeah.
But what else feels like it ain't fair, but it is fair because it's totally within the game. If you can go out there and you can burn money, you just go through GP like it's going out of style. You know how good of XP rates you can get in some of those skills if you're willing to spend the cash. If you have the cash to spend, you're going to get double, triple the XP an hour that a normal person could get that doesn't have access to that kind of money. But what, is that not fair? Well, hell yeah, it's fair.
Yeah, it's just like me if I complained about the amount of XP I got on double XP weekend in Herblore because I don't fight Telos. If I would have had, 800 mil in my bank, I could have been, 10 mil away from 120 right now.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yeah, dude. There's no difference. There's no difference between someone that is doing something like that or someone that is. They could have pulled their 2 keys a day, right? They didn't spend no money, 2 keys a day, and they just banked it in the same skill for the whole year. Well, what happens when that skill comes up?
Yeah. And, to be fair, once again, I think the accusation here is that there were actual lamps used in this case.
Well, you know what? If it's still part of it. It's still part of it. This is what I'm saying about the money. There's all kinds of ways to train. If you got the GP, it doesn't mean someone used real world cash. What it means is they have bills and bills, and they can do what that. You know what? Don't hate. Get good. Maybe you got to do a little more than run some laps. If you know you're going against someone like who you're going against, then you better pull out all the stops because the dude doesn't quit. He's a badass. And you better pack a lunch. Like the next time I go against him, believe me, I'm going to be prepared.
Yeah, and to turn this back to the farming skill of the month, I could have done more with that, but I was trying to do it based on just the player-owned farm, and Sorensen got 27.7 million XP in that, maintained a constant curve for that month, and the reason for that is because he was doing the Aquanites with the seed aside and whatnot. And, I personally do not believe in that way of farming, so I just took it and did it the way I normally do.
You mean you didn't you didn't get pissed off and took your ball and go home, Shane?
No, and that's why we're not that's why we're not canceling skill of the month.
But damn, I would take my ball and go home. You guys don't play fair.
No, I'm not going to cancel. I'm not going to cancel a competition that has been going, since 2007 and has continually drawn people to it. And, it's not a competition with 100+ people in it. And, I think that the smaller competitions with, around 10, maybe a little bit less than 10 are a little bit more intimate because there's actually a chance to move up and try and run through them, right? So I'm not going to be canceling a competition system that's been running for almost 12 years now. I'm not going to be doing that.
12 years and you've had one You've had this happen once so far?
Well, I mean, we had
once.
We had another one once in 2015 where similar accusations were made against him. But I mean, hey, at the end of the day, Tim decided to stop after a similar streak of winning. We also had one back in the day where two people decided to throw a kink in the system and tie, and we also actually that happened twice.
That's kind of funny.
yeah, we had two ties. April 2009 and November 2009. They decided to tie in woodcutting and fire making, surprisingly, but
that's kind of funny.
And we also had a case at one point where someone turned out to be a very bad troll, and we ended up banning that person from the competition. So, there's only really a handful of cases before where things have come up in that regard.
Yeah, let me tell a little story, Shane, and I'll tell you who this was later off the show. But back when I was competing really, really heavy, we used to, in clan competitions, we had a clan comp every week, right? I went against someone that at the end of that week, they got busted body. They got busted by the clan, and then Jagex got them. And they had led that whole week until the last couple days when I took the lead. So I beat somebody that was botting. I beat a robot in an XP comp. It was a mining competition at that. So no one can tell me it can't be done. It's how bad you want it. I mean, if you can beat a bot, then you can beat Treasure Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, all it takes is to learn how to do Telos. Whether or not we agree with that, or that's another question that's up for debate. But
it doesn't even have to be that. You could be lucky. You could do a one clue scroll and be lucky. Die. Yeah. And you know what? You don't even have to do that. If you want to work hard, if you want to outthink somebody, if your game knowledge is better than their game knowledge, and you're doing the best XP per hour, and you're getting a little bit less sleep, then you're gonna be able to pull it out, or at least make it interesting. Even if someone even did say they got so desperate that they had to pull out the credit card. How good does it make you feel that you are so good you made somebody pay money to beat you? Like, that should be a badge of honor. Come on now. I'd feel like a badass if that happened.
and that's something else. And I think this is a good time to pull this out. And victory is important. And if you can't win the actual victory, you got to find the moral victory. I'm of the belief that you got to find a moral victory in everything you do if you don't get the actual victory, because in doing so, finding a victory, it empowers you, it empowers your group. And this is why, in our view, the year up to now, and hopefully continuing in 2018 for RuneScape, has been about finding the victories for Jagex. And I think they did a really good part of that for the first 6 or 7 months of the year. Granted, the summer's been a bit questionable, but we'll talk about that at another point in the future, I'm sure. And if you have victories, your clan, yourself, competition, XP, anything you do personally, whether they're actual or moral, you feel good about yourself. You're empowered to do more. It enables you to do more in the future. And, there's a good quote by a certain United States president. Focus, 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 never accept defeat, and push hard for total victory. Because if you're not trying to do that, if you're not pushing for a victory regardless of what you're doing, you're not trying to win. And if you're not trying to win, you're being a detriment to whatever you're doing.
Yeah, that's kind of antithetical to the idea of competition, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think we've talked about this enough. I mean, there's certainly different ways you can go about getting the XP and whatnot. But just to recap, Skill of the Month isn't being canceled. I will look into doing the achievements for next month as something that'll run in parallel to this.
No, and you know what? If you do go down in a blaze of glory, I mean, the times that I didn't pull it out, I always looked at it like, yeah, but look who I did lose to. Like, I lost to somebody that was on a hell of a hot streak, and they're damn good. So it's never, I don't really feel like those are like losses that bad. You know what I mean? Like, if you put that much in it, I mean, yeah, you didn't win, but at the same time, did you really lose? Because you fought hard, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my opinion, I guess.
All right. Thank you, Mr. R. Man. Next up is from Dylan. Hey, guys. So I'm in a bit of a pickle. I've been playing RS3 for about 4 years now, and when I first started playing, I was invited to join a clan, and to my surprise, it was a great choice. When I first joined the clan, it was very active and felt lively, but over the years, it's died down. Over this time period, I've now gained over 180 million XP for my clan. I've marched up the rankings. Now, being a new listener to the podcast, I've found myself wanting to join your clan. I'm having trouble getting myself to leave my old clan due to the above reasons. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I would enjoy myself more in your clan? Thanks, guys. Well, you know, we're in two separate clans here.
Yeah.
This is Clan Quest, and you are in, I believe, Fealty Stars. Okay, that's what I was going to say. Didn't want to get it wrong. I assume that's what it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, we talked about Clan Quest extensively on the podcast. We've had many Clan Questers on the show before, and you know it's of course, as its name suggests, focused in around questing and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, as long as you're not outright hostile towards questing and you enjoy quests when you do them, there's a place for you at Clan Quest. Which is what our general mantra has always been. Now, you mentioned XP in terms of taking over XP and whatnot. Clan Quest has 0 requirements for XP gain, 0 requirements for capping at the Citadel. It's a max Citadel. And in regards to moving up to the rankings, and this is something that Clan Quest takes its pride on, if you have completed 50% of the quests in game, you will get the 3 gold chevron rank. If you've completed 80% of the quests in game, you'll get the bronze star. If you complete all the quests in game, you get the silver star. And if you have received either the Taskmaster emote or the Master Quest cape, you get the gold star. So that's the way our ranking works. So it's very easy for folks to climb the rankings in that regard. We also have events groups and whatnot that people can use to introduce themselves to the clan. And we also take pride in that our guild council that runs the RuneScape 3 guild all hold the silver key. So we're probably one of the biggest clans out there that has the most silver keys in game. And it's practically impossible to have a play session in Clan Quest without seeing a key online. So as regards to upwards mobility, yeah, definitely. There's always room for that in Clan Quest. In terms of processes and whatnot, they're all clearly laid out. The requirements to join, you know, obviously, member, you need to have completed 20% of the quests in game. We have a month and a bit long probationary period. You don't need to do anything special for it. You don't need to jump through any hoops. It's pretty laid back. So that's us. You can find out more about our story and how to join at clanquest.org. But yeah, I think you would enjoy yourself. Tanis, do you want to give any advertisements to yours? Or?
Well, I just want to say I can really relate to what you're saying, Dylan, because I've been in similar situations. Like if I hadn't been with Fealty for as long as I have been, I would be in Clan Quest right now. There's no doubt about it. And a couple of years ago,
and you hold a leadership position in Fealty.
Yes, and I've had it for a very long time. Well, it's not as high as it used to. So I left for a minute, and then went back and had to earn it again. But and had I went to Clan Quest then, I probably would still be there, to tell you the truth. So I understand where you're coming from. And I also think, like, when it comes to clans, there's a ebb and a flow when it comes to activity. There are these times when a clan, and it's very organic. The way that you'll see clan chat will kind of pick up, and then sometimes it kind of dies down. And then, and the number of people you see online will kind of die down, and it picks up, and there's this ebb and the flow. Now, if you feel that the clan is in trouble, either because of the leadership or because of drama, then, or if it just doesn't fit you, sometimes you outgrow your clans. Like in Fealty, we don't have like a big emphasis on bossing or anything. We have people that do it. We have people that do everything, right? Because we're a big clan.
We do too.
But there's nobody that, like, our focus isn't like we are a PVM clan, and sometimes people will move on because they want that. That's perfectly fine too. So say you're at a place in your RuneScape, career where you want to learn about the lore and you want to be around people where you can talk about lore stuff and work on quests, then I think it would be a really good move to move into Clan Quest. But I'm not going to lie, the 180 mil that you have, it does hurt, because I've lost about 150 once, and it's not fun. it's really not. But on the bright side, that's not a concern in Clan Quest. That's not how you move up. So, it's not necessarily that you have to go through the same process. Now, Fealty does work off of experience. Like, that's how our ranks go up into general, and then everything else is voted on by leadership.
Yeah.
Council.
Believe it or not, for running the RuneScape 3 Guild and Clan Quest, anyone who's been around long enough can, as of our new constitution this past March, nominate themselves to a guild council and have that vote be voted on by the membership at large.
Very cool. Well, and I've been very, not surprised, but like impressed, I guess, with just Clan Quest is a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah. We also have a fully democratic elected judiciary, so if there's ever an issue with someone in the chat, that judiciary is free to act and discipline them without any oversight from the guild council. And if the guild council does something that the judiciary disagrees with, the judiciary is free to override that and whatnot. And that's actually one of the most defining features of Clan Quest, is its elected judiciary, or honor council, as we call them.
See, that's cool. Yeah. And over, at Fealty, we're very, very, very relaxed. Like, there's no Citadel requirements. There's no requirements to get in or anything like that. We're very, very chill. The only thing that we watch for is how you treat others. Like, we don't allow drama, and we don't allow people to be pricks to each other. Like, I'm not saying you can't have a disagreement, but that shit better go to PM or somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the same.
What I mean?
Same general rule we have as well.
Yeah.
So, but I think everyone listening to this podcast, and if you're asking about the clan, should hopefully be above that. Oh, and we had upwards of 15 people at RunePass this year.
Yeah, well, and you guys got the articles and stuff and all kinds of.
Yeah, the Questaholic magazine
cool
and
stuff.
whatnot. Yeah. And in some ways, RSBANDB is becoming an extension of Clan Quest and vice versa. So, and you just have to look at how many RSBANDBupdate people have been on the show and are at Clan Quest now.
Well, yeah, and look at the overlap. Like, almost all of the RSBANDB people that were at RuneFest were Clan Questers, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there you go. I'm kind of the oddball, but that's just because I'm, we we affectionately call Filthy the retirement home, because when you're all done with your RuneScape drama life, you come and retire at Filthy and just relax. So that's where I'm at. But like I said, if I ever had a chance, I would probably go to Clan Quest. After, if anything ever happened, that's where I would go.
Alrighty. Well, I think that was a good question. Hopefully, that's been made clear. So if you want more information on Clan Quest, clanquest.org. That landing page has everything you need to know about our group and how to join and whatnot. So clanquest.org.
And he can guest with.
Oh yeah,
Clan
yeah,
Quest, right?
yeah. That's actually one of the first steps to joining is to just guesting in the clan chat, getting to know everyone, making sure you like the environment and whatnot. So
yeah, that's the same as us. Good chance I would miss you if you came in, but welcome ahead of time if you do stop by.
Yeah,
so,
same. I don't know what your current RS name is. So, and we do get a lot of guests. So if you do decide, just PM me Shane12088 in game, and I'll point you in the right direction of how to get started. All right. So if you guys want to send questions in, they can be emailed to questions@rsbnb.com, or you can leave them direct on Twitter @RSBNB as a direct message, or mention to us. So with that being said, you ready for some tech news?
Yeah, what's going on in tech this week?
This week is actually a much quieter week than weeks we've had before, believe it or not.
No Facebook news?
No Facebook news this week. You guys had that when I was gone. But
and
Apple,
the week before,
and the week before, and the week before. Apple this week is making waves because if you live in the U.S., it unveiled a new privacy tool for people in the U.S., Canada, and Australia and New Zealand to be able to see and download all information that Apple has collected on you. This was previously made available in the EU based on the GDPR legislation that came in earlier this year. And with this, you can make changes to the data, or even just tell Apple, hey, delete my account, I don't need this anymore, and it'll all disappear and whatnot. And I think this is a good thing, because how many pieces of tech news in the last 6 months have been privacy focused?
Yeah, well, a lot. And I'm glad that they're at least giving this to us, because I wonder if there will be a point where we actually own our own information, and Apple and Google, and they're not the owners of our activity.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to see.
Where we could take our own stuff and say, it's ours. If we are willing to sell it, then that's on us. It's up to us whether we sell it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, I think Apple makes waves when they do this, because they sell, in effect, hardware experiences. They sell the iPhone, they sell the Mac. And, when you are using an iPhone, it's tracking everywhere you go. And even more so, if you have an Apple Watch, it's going to be collecting everything about you, heart rate and whatnot. And,
and we've talked about the health implications, like insurance.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I don't have health problems, and I don't have health insurance issues. But still, I turn most of that off, aside from, this basic, distance tracking and step tracking stuff, because I just don't think there's necessary to have all that information in a technical device that could easily be breached, because we think things are secure, but we don't know that they're secure until through the passage of time. So,
yeah, you lucky damn Canadian, don't have to worry about that insurance stuff.
Yeah.
But, you got a point there, because think about it. Like, what if... I don't even know if this is possible, but what if your Apple Watch knew that you were allergic to shellfish or something, and then you ran afoul with some Russian oligarch, and then the next thing you know, you touched something that had shellfish slime on you. I know it sounds like a
we're not there yet, but it'd be able to happen.
Right, but you never know. Stuff like that could actually probably go down.
Yeah. And, with this, it actually got more interesting, because Tim Cook said that Apple wouldn't be in this situation earlier this year when Facebook came under scrutiny. And this is when Mark Zuckerberg called Tim Cook extremely glib on this. But I think it's safe to say that, there have been Apple breaches before, and Apple breaches that might have happened, but they're not necessarily to the scope of the Facebook breaches and whatnot. And, for as far as we know right now, Apple isn't collecting this information to sell it to people. So, whereas we know Facebook is right off the bat.
Because Apple doesn't have to sell it to anybody. Apple wants it so that they can sell you more Apple stuff.
And I think,
you know what I mean?
And I think if we turn the page to Google, Google has information on this as well, and probably more to build a profile on people, right? But
yeah, for sure.
But Google's primary objective is making any information that you want accessible before you need it.
Exactly. I don't. Mark Zuckerberg needs to shut his mouth. He's so out of touch.
Yeah, and I mean, this is good, and hopefully other companies will take the advantage on this and make it this easy to see that data. Granted, you can already collect, a Facebook data takeout and whatnot if you want, but I don't know if that's nearly as voluminous and as thorough as we would like it to be.
Well, this is only fair because at this point, everybody but us has our metadata. The government has our metadata.
Yeah.
Other governments have our metadata. Yeah. All the companies have our metadata. Everybody but you has your information.
Yeah.
So at least they're giving it to us now. So good on Apple.
Yeah. I just wish I wasn't admin of 2 Facebook accounts or 2 Facebook pages, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, I just recently learned how to deactivate that, so I'm really considering it.
Yeah. I mean, you should if you don't need it to communicate with anyone and you're not admin of any pages. But moving on to our next piece of tech news, pivoting back to Discord, which we're using to record this podcast. They launched a built-in game store, except that it was only trialed with 50,000 users in Canada, and this week was launched globally. And the first question is, why would you want to use this game store when you have something like Steam or I guess you could say Origin in the case of EA? Well,
they force you to.
Yeah.
No one does it because I want to.
There's about 20 games on the store. And Discord says that's deliberate. They say, Steam might have over 10,000 games. Discord's wanting to frame itself as something closer to a, quote, local bookstore. And if it's on their shelves, it is essentially their digital stamp of approval. Now, you tell me if you've heard of any of these games. Moonlighter, Frostpunk, Starbound, Masters of Anima, Celestia, Dead Cells, Crosscode, Omen Sight, Into the Breach, Battle Chasers Night War, Red Faction Guerrilla, Spellforce 3, This is the Police 2, Hollow Knight, Subnautica, The Banner Saga 3, and Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. Yeah,
the last 6 or 7 of them, I'm familiar with all of them. Subnautica is a really good game. I know a little bit about Pillars of Eternity. The Banner Saga is pretty good. But the first ones, I never heard of before. And these are smaller. I mean, they're smaller games. Subnautica is really cool, though. It's an underwater buildy kind of. It's a pretty cool game.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what Crosscode and Starbound are. Those sound interesting.
Yeah, and I think that Guerrilla Faction, I've heard of it too. Heard of that one before. But yeah, I know where you're going with this, and I tend to agree. I think. Yeah,
and I mean, no one's going to use this on its own unless they're familiar with what one of these games are, because, I mean, people want to play the games they want to play. They're going to want to play all the top hits. I mean, maybe you might get into some of these games if they're focused in on Discord Nitro, but beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I think my concern with this is just that I think we were talking a little bit in pre-show that when you do the digital, we all take somewhat of a risk when we buy a digital download, right? Because we don't own a physical copy. we own the license and privilege to play that game.
Yeah, well, same thing with Microsoft Windows.
Right. But that's entirely different than having a copy of a game, a hard game. So
I can't even remember the last hard copy game I bought.
Me neither. But I do worry sometimes of what happens if a company goes under. Will we lose our thousands of dollars in games that we've purchased over, however many years? And that's why I think people feel a little bit safer with Steam, because it's been around for a while and it's probably not going anywhere.
Yes.
Whereas this Discord thing, I think it's good for them to try it. I mean, they haven't really monetized Discord in any way.
And
really,
I mean,
so
they previously had Nitro, which was $4.99. It's gone up to $9.99 now. But what you get with that is you get a rotating library of 60 games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's the way they're doing it. That's the way they're doing it.
Watch out. Game streaming, super highway of the future.
There you go. Like, for example, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 Triple Thrill Pack is currently free with Nitro.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Released October 2002.
Yeah, it's an older game, but I mean,
still.
Yeah. Huh. When it comes to these smaller games like this, I think it's okay if they are very, very careful what they put on there. Because, even Steam has learned that lesson the hard way. People can sneak really sneaky stuff in a game.
Lots of malware.
And so you got to really be careful. And the reason I'm not picking on independent games. I'm just saying that's not going to happen from an EA or a Rockstar, or it's really not.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think the best way of going about this to ensure that no one gets burned by this, should it just disappear at some point, is to just do it with the Nitro subscription, because that way then you're just subscribing to the games and they rotate.
Yeah. I mean, and part of me feels bad. Like, I don't want to discourage trying this service. Like, I would be willing to try it. Like, I would be willing to throw $20 and see how it works out.
I mean, just like friggin' look at Discord Nitro. That's worth it on its own.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if anything, I don't know if this is how it works or anything, but maybe by having the game, like if you buy it through Discord, it seems like there would be there's an opportunity for a tie-in for voice chats, and channels that be like, hey, these channels are people that play this game, and that way you could play with people. And that, to me, that it's right there. It seems like that would be a natural thing, You
can also apparently purchase Nitro Classic for $4.99 a month if you don't want the game subscription.
Okay. Well, I don't know why you wouldn't want the game subscription. I mean, that's really cheap for a library of 60 games.
Yeah, and I mean, they say they have their stamp of approval on it. And basically what that enables to happen, I think, is, we've talked a lot about how there's so much garbage in the Steam store. And if this is being curated by the people at Discord and it doesn't get to that same point, and the curation turns out to be good, this could be an interesting jumping off point for independent game developers. Though I don't know how independent game developers feel seeing Roller Coaster Tycoon on here, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 from 2002.
But see, that's the thing too, it's kind of contradictory when you think about it. Like, they're wanting to be the neighborhood bookstore. Okay, well, the neighborhood bookstore, yeah, it's got the smaller kind of books you might not have heard of and the used books, but you know what else they have? The new George R.R. Martin book that just came out. I mean, it didn't, but I'm just saying, they've got the big titles, like they have those in the window too. So, I don't think it would be a bad idea if they had Assassin's Creed Odyssey, or if, a couple of the bigger names, I don't think would be a detriment to the store. And it would probably maybe drive some traffic towards it.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, all right. I don't think there's anything else left for that one. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch, and I think I think it's something that Discord needs to do because, hey, I mean, they gotta monetize some way other than just the $4.99 Nitro, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, they're going to take our information and sell it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you make money nowadays,
That's
right?
right. That's right. All right. So moving on to our last piece of tech news, and this is something that many people from the computer world have probably heard of before. But this week, Paul Allen, Microsoft co-founder, passed away due to complications with cancer. You know, not many people think about Paul Allen because, of course, the public face of Microsoft and Microsoft's philanthropy going forward has always been Bill Gates and whatnot. But, you know, Paul Allen served an equal part in Microsoft making it the company that it was in the 1980s. He also owned the Seattle Seahawks. He also pioneered numerous television stations as well in the late 90s and early 2000s, one of which being Tech TV, which later merged into G4. And he's also largely credited with building that relationship between Microsoft and IBM that got Microsoft's operating system and software licensed on the IBM computers in the 1980s. And, you know, I think we can all assume that without IBM, there would be no there would be no Microsoft juggernaut as we had it today. So Paul Allen's contributions to the tech scene cannot be understated. You know, normally when you think of tech luminaries, you think of, you know, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, Bill Gates. I don't know if we can say Mark Zuckerberg yet. I don't know if we should, but
and can we put an asterisk next to him?
But you know, Paul Allen definitely had a huge role, and I think many people didn't necessarily think of Paul Allen when it came to Microsoft. But it's safe to say, without him, Microsoft wouldn't be what it was today. And this is one of those days that should be marked just as it was when Steve Jobs met his end a number of years back. So this is something that many in the computer industry are remembering. And, you know, even if you look back at, you know, sources like the Computer History Museum in Silicon Valley and whatnot, you'll see traces of Paul Allen there. So this is definitely a big deal and a changing day for the computer industry, I think.
Yeah, it's sad. And you hope that, you know, somewhere out there, there's you know, the next Paul Allen and Steve Jobs and these guys that will, you know, keep pushing.
Yeah, because, you know, everyone right now is so focused around the big three of Apple, Google, and Facebook, right? We talk about Microsoft, but Microsoft is established in the enterprise and whatnot. It just seems as though everyone focuses on those three going forward. And it's always the question of what's going to be next, what's going to be the next big turn to make. And you definitely do need people like Paul Allen in that regards. And his memoir was actually published in 2011. It was called Paul Allen, Idea Man. And, you know, I think that's the perfect way of describing it. So.
Yeah. Well, and when you think about it, you know, even in their time, there was a big three of their time, and people thought, right? I mean, it was like, what was it? Was it Hewlett Packard? And
yep, HP.
It was HP and
Microsoft, and Apple was effectively the Facebook of the day, believe it or not. You could also throw Xerox in there as well.
But they were the disruptor, you know what I mean? They were the ones and so, you know, it can still happen. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it can still happen. You can still revolutionize the way things are done.
Indeed. But yeah, just give this article a read. Gives a big history of Paul Allen if you're not familiar with him, even talking about his involvement with the Seahawks and whatnot. And I think, as I said when we opened this up, Paul Allen is definitely not someone that people initially thought of when Microsoft was mentioned. And, you know, if you'd ask people who are the founders of Microsoft, everyone would just say Bill Gates, right? But no one really ever thought to say Paul Allen.
Yeah.
So,
man.
He will be missed. Okay. So moving on to our Skill of the Month update. We already talked a bit about Skill of the Month.
Skill of the Month update?
Yeah. We have Sorensen 57 with his big leap, gaining so far this month 66.2 million XP in the agility skill. Next up is MageBit with 22.9 million XP. And in third place we have Pernasius with 9.8 million XP gained. So total XP earned for the entire month is at 103 million XP, and we talked a lot about this already. I don't think we need to circle back.
Well, we shouldn't have, and then you just told me the numbers, and now I'm. Okay, yeah, I mean, call me crazy, but I have a feeling this thing was over anyway. Just say it. Just say it.
Well, if you look back to the 13th, they were relatively close, but Sorensen had a lead for half the month.
You know what? That's the way Sorensen rolls. He makes you feel like you're with him, and then he stabs you. And then you go, ugh, and you try to keep up, and he kicks you right in the face. And then as he's running away from you, you're like, stop, and he smiles and waves. That's how it goes.
That's how it went in the farming. That's how it went in the farming skill of the month too.
Yeah, I mean, at some point in about the middle of the month, he just kicks you in the nuts, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're like, damn it, because you got hope. You're like, oh, I'm sticking with him. I'm gonna get him this time, but you don't. You never get him. Someday someone's gonna get him, but
they will. They will.
Not today. It's not today.
All right. What do we got for achievements this week?
All right. Let's see here. We have some. Okay. Let's start off with 1, 2, 3, 4. Were cool. With 99 farming on October 16th.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then we have Comp Sci with 200 mil Slayer. Nice. On October 16th. Cubond.
Yeah, Cubond. Cubond 008, I believe.
Okay, Cubond 008. Thank you, Shane. With 99 ranged on October 15th. We have Sorensen 57 with 120 agility October 15th. Well, I'll be damned. He was going for 120 agility. Huh. I guess he had motivation. Awesome. Good job. Desmo 360, 99 ranged on October 14th. And then we have Rune Dragon with 99 prayer on October 14th. Wow, Rune Dragon again with 99 ranged on October 14th.
Nicely done, nicely done. Continuing on the 14th, we have Desmo 360 with 99 magic. Rune Dragon again with 99 defense. Desmo 360 again with 99 constitution. Rune Dragon coming up again. You can hear the trend here with 99 constitution as well as 99 magic on the 14th. You can see these folks who are working on combat at this point. Next up is Chewbacca with 99 ranged on October 13th. I know you like that name, Tanis.
I love it.
And the next one, Howell Bacon with 99 woodcutting and 99 divination on October 12th. Nice work, everyone.
Good job. Nice.
All righty.
Bacon.
Yes, bacon. Bacon's good. What do you got for your achievement? Or, sorry, not your achievements, your pick of the week.
Pick of the week. Well, do you know what is hot right now, Shane?
No.
Okay. Everything 90s is actually pretty hot.
Ooh.
Yeah. Were you around for the 90s?
Of course. You mean like the hair, the music, the clothes?
Yeah. Dude, clothes go for crazy money if you have actual authentic vintage 90s stuff. Yeah. There was a Nirvana t-shirt, concert t-shirt, just went for $3,000. Not joking. Nuts. Anyway, you know what else was probably my favorite part of the 90s?
The presidency of Bill Clinton.
Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. I like old Slick Willie. You know, he was all right. But nah, man, it's the games. It's always the games, right? We had some of the most iconic consoles ever. Came out in the 90s.
N64, Dreamcast, Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. PlayStation 1 came out in the 90s.
Original Xbox.
The original Xbox, yeah. So gaming, the consoles, man, they were hot, you know. I include Nintendo, although it came out in mid-80s. It didn't stop until 93.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. You know. You're good.
So we have to include that. So
the original Xbox was 2001. Oops.
Oh, really? Well, they were a little late to the party.
Yeah,
then.
They were.
Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to play some of those old games, Shane?
Yeah, actually, I have the N64 on the other side of the room, and it still works. It just looks like just looks like crap on a HD TV.
Well, there's ways around that, and we can talk about that later. But one way around that is my pick of the week this week, which is called the Retron 5. So I just learned about this because I'm getting into collecting and buying and selling and really jumping into this world with both feet, because, you know, this was the golden age of gaming, and I grew up with all this stuff, and I still love it, you know. And what the Retron 5 is a console that can play original NES, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy.
Yeah. It can play Famicom, Super Famicom, Sega Master System, Sega Mega Drive. Now, if you're not familiar with all those, yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Don't quote me on that. I think so. But as you can see, that's a hell of a lot of systems, right? That's all in one console. And the other really cool thing about this is, if you are a collector or retro gamer, you're probably familiar with the region locking, right, Shane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't play a European game on an American machine.
Yeah, that was actually a big issue with the Pokemon games with Japan and whatnot.
Right. With the Retron 5, there's no region locking on it. And what is really super cool about that is you can actually insert an SD card and download a translation pack. So you can get that Japanese version of Final Fantasy II that you've never been able to play before because you can't read Japanese. Now you can. So that's really, really cool. And the way it does it is, this isn't actually a clone system. It's an emulator, but it's an emulator that actually takes the ROM from, you use the real cart, right? You use the real cartridge.
So this is, in a way, this is how they get around the legal area of it.
Yeah, because it uses the real cartridge, and then it takes the ROM from the real cartridge and uses that in its system. So everything is original. You know, it's from the original thing. It's just that it's running it through its system so that it, wait for it, can put out HDMI. So this thing hooks up to all modern televisions, and it will make all of those old systems look awesome. And if you're a collector, if you're a retro gamer, this is also a good way to get into it, because the systems can be very, very pricey. And with this,
like the Raspberry Pi, or rather, not the Raspberry Pi, the NES Classic that came out. Yes. $99 for that.
Yes. And so this actually plays, all the original stuff, and it goes to, HDMI, which I just think is awesome. Now, it's not what I would call, it doesn't have like a really, really high price tag, but it's not cheap. I think it's appropriate. You can get on Amazon right now for I think $126.
Oh, that's cheaper than any modern game console.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it doesn't have it ain't got the muscles of the modern consoles.
Can you use your original controllers with it?
That is what is so cool. So it does come with a controller, but to be honest, a lot of the reviews say the controller is the worst part, and that it's not really ideal. But what they give you is the opportunity that you can plug in your old NES controllers, your old Super NES controllers, your old Genesis controllers. You could play Mario Brothers with a Sega Genesis controller if you wanted to.
Could you use N64 controllers?
I don't know if 64 is part of
okay. So this might be a little bit too early for that.
It might be. Yeah, I can check that really fast. I should have known that ahead of time. But
well, I mean, obviously, as it is, you do have a good number of consoles that you can use for it, or past ones. But
yeah, I mean, it's
I see the controller picture on the screen. That does look rather awkward to hold.
Yeah, it really, like I said, this has really good reviews, but that is the one thing that people have kind of said is not, it's not ideal, I guess. And it's kind of bricky, and yeah, I don't know. I probably won't use it much. Yeah, Game Boy Color is one, Shane.
Okay.
So,
but I mean, it's an interesting idea nonetheless. With that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And what I think is really good is, like, if you're getting into retro gaming, if you're getting into collecting, this is a good place to start, because believe it or not, an original NES in good shape, like I'm talking, in good condition, with the original cables, the original controllers, a zapper, and say Mario and Duck Hunt. I'll take a wild guess of what that average is out at.
A couple hundred?
About 120, 150.
Okay.
That's for a 30-year-old electronic. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. So this, and if you wanted to do that for all of these systems,
it adds up.
It adds up a lot. Yeah.
Up. Yeah. All right.
So,
that's
yeah.
And have you picked one of these up, or is this on the wish list?
Actually, I am halfway to picking one of these up. Okay. So yeah. No, I'm hoping to grab it next month. Actually, I got to experience one at our local retro gaming store, and it's cool. If I had the money, I would have taken it home that day. I do want to let people know that it doesn't matter whether it's on the Retron 5 or anything else. If you have an old system or you're using a Retron 5, if you're wanting to play a light gun game, you have to have a CRT TV. It will not work on a modern TV.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. So just a little disclaimer there. I don't want you to go out there and get it and be like, hell yeah, I'm going to shoot some ducks. No, not unless you got an old TV. You're not.
Yeah. And I think that's due to the way the CRT scans.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm actually looking for an old TV right now.
I don't
because I want both. I want both.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to that. CRTs burn the eyes after you've stopped using them.
But I only want it for Hogan's Alley and Duck Hunt. Okay. Because how cool would it be to watch someone stream and watch a blind guy shoot, The light gun game. I mean, that just sounds like fun.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it even supports Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, Game Boy Color.
Neat.
So like I said, for me, what it's going to allow me to do, not only do I get to enjoy just the fun of playing those games again, but when you're buying and selling, you have to make sure that you're dealing with an authentic game, and you have to make sure it's not a reproduction. You have to make sure it works, and this is one system that I can test a lot of different games on before putting my seal of approval on.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good pick of the week, and I'm sure there will definitely be people in our audience who are interested in that. So that's very nice. Now, as for what we've been up to in game this week for me, just focusing in on that Halloween event, working on the farm. I was in the unfortunate situation where, you go away for a week and you don't have the time to do the little things that are there, and they just start to stack up. So I came back and my farm mushrooms were empty. My machines were out of energy. So, right there's, 3 hours and a bit just gathering energy and gathering mushrooms and whatnot to get the farm and whatnot up and running again. So that took a portion of the gameplay this week. But beyond that, we'll be paying attention to GameJam this weekend and seeing what's announced, and we'll definitely be talking about that next week on the podcast, because I think this is going to be one of the most underrated gems that we're going to be seeing in the next few months. Game Jam always happens, but people are always wowed by what they initially see, then they move on. But I think we're actually going to be surprised with this one, and people are going to be happy with this, and they don't know they're going to be surprised yet, because as we know, there are a couple of Game Jam update slots slotted in January and February. So we'll definitely be seeing these come to fruition at that point in time. But before I turn it over to you, I'll just tell everyone to head over to informer.rsbnb.com, read RuneFest 1 RuneScape Community, my final recap of the event. And, the title kind of gives it away of what you experience on the ground compared to what the online community's experience and whatnot. And I delve a bit into that and provide some personal anecdotes as to how the one RuneScape community idea was actually coming true at RuneFest, and how great it would be to actually see that in real life. And then we got another one coming out tomorrow from Sirion, recapping RuneFest as well, delving into meeting people as well. So those are both good. You can find those at informer.rsbnb.com.
Oh, that's very cool. I can't wait.
Yeah. So what have you been up to this week?
Well, boy, don't you wish you could bring like day laborers in over from old school or something? Just to
I have no idea what those are.
What? You don't have them in Canada?
What? Oh.
You don't have them in Canada?
No, what?
Do you have farms in Canada?
Yeah.
You don't have day laborers?
I don't know what that is.
That's someone you go and hire for the day. Come and work.
Oh, okay, sure. Yes, okay.
Okay.
I just never heard them called that.
Oh.
Farmhands.
Yeah. Farmhands, yeah. Too bad we can't just grab some of them, right? Keep our farms going.
Yeah. Yeah.
While
sure.
we're going. Right. Anyway, I have been up to really not a lot. I've done the Halloween a few times, the Halloween event. I did it today, and got to look at the old war dude. He's kind of cool. That's really been it. I've been really super busy trying to get things up and running on some other endeavors I'm working on. But yeah, the Halloween event, I don't know. It's all right. I mean,
it doesn't feel like Halloween yet, does it?
It doesn't. The ones that felt like Halloween to me will always be Death's House, and
yeah.
And even the Invention Halloween one was good. That one kind of felt like Halloween. It was more Halloween-y.
I mean, maybe if they dropped it a little bit closer to Halloween, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. This feels like a normal kind of event type thing, like the Port Saran event or something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's it, man.
Okie dokes. Well, with that being said, we can wrap this show up. If you guys found this enjoyable, I'll just say that if you want to find us in game, we're at Friends Chat BitsBytes. Join that. You can chat with us. Someone will almost always guaranteed to be in there. BitsBytes is the Friends Chat. You can find full show notes at update.rsbnb.com. You can follow us on Twitter at RSBANDB. And the newest link to add to this list is you can join our Discord server by heading to rsbnb.com/Discord. And the links to all these will be in the show notes at update.rsbnb.com. All right, I don't think there's anything else yet. You good to go?
I'm good.
Well, with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update.
Take care.